At one point in all of our lives, we've all heard the same phrase said over and over: do the right thing. Now, as a child, you probably don't understand what this means the first time you hear it, or even the first couple times. It's a phrase that is unknown to you. Do the right thing. I mean, it seems pretty clear what it is, but you don't fully understand the concept behind it. When a person tells you to do the right thing, they're talking about you, the individual. Some examples of this are peer pressure. Oftentimes in schools, instructors or special speakers will come in and talk about how peer pressure can affect young adults and teenagers into getting into situations which would harm them physically, mentally, or even emotionally. Examples include drinking, doing drugs, vaping, generally just in general negative stuff. And so when they tell you do the right thing, they're talking to you, the individual. This brings me to my topic word today: ethics. Now, to further clarify or help articulate my speech, I first need to make a very clear distinction between ethics and morals. According to multiple sources, ethics are more of an individual-based decision of their character, their willpower, and their mental thought, whereas morals are more based upon the societal views of a person's nationality or ethnicity. Once we have this difference down, you can start to see what I mean by you don't fully understand the concept behind it. Of course, certain things in society are regarded as more negative than others, of course. Drinking and driving, smoking while pregnant, in general, bad stuff like usual. However, these are all morals. These are all seen by the general populace as negative. Ethics work a little differently, as I said. They are based upon the individual. That's why when they tell you to do the right thing, they're telling you to make a conscious decision based on what you think to do the right thing for both yourself and possibly those around you. Now, going off of this, I'm going to talk about some examples about good ethic and bad ethic throughout history. Some good ethics that I've seen, or as you can actually see within history, are people willing to make a stand for the right causes based on their own personal beliefs. A good example of this would be anyone who was helping Jews or people of persecution during the Holocaust of World War II, potentially Nazi Germany or annexed territories as well. They made the conscious effort not to follow what was right by law, but what was right by their ethics. And in doing so, even though technically they were considered lawbreakers, they did the right thing according to them, and that is where they stand on their ethics. Other examples would include possible first responders. In a very tense situation such as 9/11, the global disasters, weather phenomenons, people who are there to respond to the emergency and help people have to make tough decisions based on their own personal views. One might say, like a firefighter, for instance. If you have 6 people who have smoke inhalation laying on the ground, unable to breathe, but you only have 1 oxygen canister, who do you give it to? That is the perfect moment to exemplify or show your ethics of what you view as possible. For instance, it might differ depending on your ethnicity. In America, it might be that if you have military officials on the ground, it goes to whoever is the highest rank, since they would have the most importance upon just their structure. However, in South Korea, they see the older general population as more respect-worthy. It's a cultural thing. And so they might provide relief to them first over the others. It's not necessarily a bad thing depending on what you're doing. It is simply a show of your ethics. So bad ethics, on the other hand, can have dire consequences indeed. Some of these we can see have horrendous backgrounds, crimes, and pretty much just backlash in general for both people around them and those who are in fear. A good example of those would be the numerous serial killers in American history. Ted Bundy, for example, his ethics were horrible. He killed and murdered multiple innocent people. It's a bad example of what a good citizen should be. However, they were his ethics. They were what he wanted to do. And even though there are good and bad examples, it's important that we focus on what should be allowed in society. You see, ethics are the upbringing of every person. That's why they are important to them. That's why it's important to instill good ethics and not just morals in people in today's society. If a person has good ethics, then they can go into pretty much any situation possible. As long as they stick to their ethics, they're going to do the right thing according to them. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters for both them, their society, and in general, everyone. No matter if it's in their country or their ethnicity. Thank you.